Okay, so before we start, I just wanted to share with you about our center. I'm sure that a lot of you know about us, but in case you don't know us, we are from the Center for the Study of Childcare Employment. Our center was founded in 1999. We are located at the University of California, Berkeley, and we are the national leader in early care and education workforce research and policy. What we really do is we provide research and analysis on the preparation, working conditions, compensation of the early care and education workforce, and we develop policy solutions and create spaces for teaching, learning, and educator activism. Our vision is to realize an effective public early care and education system that secures racial, gender, and economic justice for the women whose labor is the linchpin of stable quality services. So this is really the reason behind the work we are going to talk to you about today. The research that we do is really to provide, equip the educators with a voice to be able to advocate for policies that improve their working conditions and improve their economic well-being and professional well-being. If you want to read more, you can scan the QR code and it will take you to our website. So just a little bit about our agenda. We have a very simple agenda. We have 3 really big goals that we want to achieve. We want to give you a little bit of a background about the California Early Care and Education Workforce Study, why we do it, what we do, and what we do with the information we gather. And then we will talk a lot more about the outreach for the 2025 baseline study that we are currently conducting. And then we'll have time for question and answers, hopefully answering your questions about how you can participate in the research if you are an educator, what you need to do to be able to get your link, how we are trying to reach you to provide you with the survey link. And then if you are an ECE partner, for example, you work at the County of Education, or you're an R&R or a First 5 who is able to help us reach early educators, we will also share information about what are some of the resources we have that you can help promote the survey, as well as who you can contact in case educators come to you looking for help. So those are our goals. And then we'll provide some of the resources and then we'll wrap up. And so I'm gonna now shift it over to my colleague, Anna, so that she takes us through the first bulletin on our agenda.
Thank you, Wanzi. And if you'd like to introduce yourself in the chat and tell us your role and where in California you're based, we would love to get to know who's visiting with us tonight. And thank you for coming. So on our next slide, we have just a description of this study. So for those of you who have been doing this work for many years, you may know that we have been conducting early educator research in California since 2006. And our survey that we started back at that time, well, I should say, Dr. Marcy Whitebook, our founder, former infant toddler teacher, she started this survey to gather this important data about the programs and the people who work in early care and education. And most recently in 2019, we had a new cycle of the survey that began that ended last year. And as you're probably thinking, 2019/2020, that was a different time. So we really think that it's very urgent to get fresh data on all of the characteristics and challenges and strengths that the workforce has in this current moment. And if you scan this QR code, you can visit our study website, which talks about the many papers that we put out and resources and fact sheets about the workforce in California. So just a little bit about us, the research team. Our 2 primary investigators, Dr. Leah Austin and Abmi Koopman-Pedig. And then you've got me and Wanzi and our colleague Yoon Jen. And we have all been working on this study even since the 2020 version of it, but we're excited to continue working on gathering this data. Next slide. So what did we learn from this and why is this survey important? Well, I want to talk a little bit about this last round that we did from 2020 to 2024. So as I mentioned, we've created a lot of reports, and hopefully, as we've seen, reports like that are not just written to be, posted online and then forgotten about. No, the whole purpose of this is to create resources that call attention to the power of the workforce of early educators, their skill, their expertise, and the many challenges that they face to live this passion every day. And fortunately, we do have an audience for our data beyond just the 15 of you who are generous enough to come to this call. We're able to connect with advocates, both early educators and organizations that support them, to bring this information forward at the county level and the state level to really push for more resources for early care and education. And we have seen this happen in the past. In rate reform proposals and collective bargaining, our data are used as examples to justify why we need to take action as a state or as a county, etc. So we know that real-time, fresh data can help to tell the story and be really powerful, especially when combined with educators who are telling their story and bringing their lived experience. So one resource is an example of this that really just tells all of the strengths and unique traits and experiences, but also some challenges, is this profiles of the ECE workforce that we created. Next slide. So some other examples of reports that we've written about. On the left, we wrote one about impact of pandemic relief funds and how important those were to help stabilize programs, but making clear that there are challenges that were from long before the pandemic and long-term funding is needed. In this middle report, which came out in January, we talked about staffing and enrollment trends, right, for both centers and family childcare homes, to talk about how before the pandemic, it was already tough to run an early childcare program. But during the pandemic, we saw enrollments fall, we saw staffing fall, and it didn't fully recover. People are still struggling. So that's the kind of story we're able to tell with our data. Then on the far right, Yoon Jun, our colleague who I mentioned earlier, she wrote this report with some of our teammates about the experience of racism in the wages and in the job opportunities that is within the field, and showing how even in a field like early education, where wages are quite low, we can still find evidence of pay disparities and how California needs to pay attention to this as it makes changes. I also want to tell you about one additional resource. It's actually a data and advocacy toolkit that takes a lot of what we've learned from this last round of study and puts it into one kind of package that's really intended to help early educators do their advocacy work and bring those data points as they're telling their story. So this is one resource we were able to create, but as you can imagine, some of the data is from that 2020 time. And there are new issues now and new challenges that we want to be able to talk about with the data that we'll collect. Next slide. This gives the QR code that will take you to the toolkit. And it is California specific, but we also do have a national one. So if you're engaged in advocacy work that goes beyond the state lines, or you have friends who work in other states, you'll find on our website that there's also a national one.
And I don't know whether you mentioned this, Anna, that we created the toolkit with educators. They provided
That's right.
the input for the tool.
Absolutely. We had a small work group of educators to talk about what were the most important types of data they wanted to have at their fingertips. And the toolkit, as you'll see, it has quite a lot in it. So hopefully it meets the needs of what you're looking for. But if it doesn't, you can always come to us and say, hey, I'm looking for the data that tells this part of my story, and we can try to get it for you. So coming into the present, we are finishing the timeline of this 2020 to 2024 cycle of survey, and we're now looking at trying to get a fresh 2025 baseline. And by that, I mean, we're going to try to reach as many folks as possible because we haven't actually done a wide survey since 2020. Welcome, Fabiana. And with that, I imagine many of you, if you are an early educator on this call, you have seen a lot of requests to take a survey, especially since 2020. And one thing that I hope you'll take away from this call today is that unlike surveys, which might be often around helping the local R&R to serve you better, or perhaps for some compliance for some other state or local need, this survey is really designed around creating data for advocacy. So the other surveys that you may complete, it's hard to know what is the value that you're producing with that. But we really hope to do you proud by gathering quality data that can be used to make your well-being better and advocate for your future as educators. So that's where we're aiming to go with this survey. And if we do a really good job of reaching a lot of people in 2025, then we can kind of stay in touch. And as things are evolving with policy changes in 26 or 27 or 28, we can gather data on urgent things that come up to continue fulfilling that role. Next slide. So the three high-level questions of what we are hoping to learn from this first survey is just to get a sense of the status of who is in the workforce now after all of the changes and upheaval that we have seen. What is the state of compensation and your well-being, especially professional and economic well-being and the job stability? Then we want to know about the programs. If you're an FCC educator, you and the program are very closely linked, so your well-being and the programs are very closely linked. But in the case of folks who are working in a center where they have various colleagues, or if they're running a center, then we want to know also about those staffing patterns and the program's finances, which, unlike the FCC, may not be linked with your own. But these are important questions given the turmoil that the field is facing. And with that, as I mentioned in a moment ago, we also want to see, as changes are happening around us, not just craziness coming down from the federal level, but maybe policy change within California. For example, the next contract that the Child Care Providers United will negotiate, new reimbursement rates we hope we'll be seeing, and also the continued expansion of UTK. We want to know how these things are affecting people who work in the field. And just finally, some of the details that we would gather to be part of this would be the demographic information. That way we can tell the story of how many educators are speaking different languages or have different types of degrees. We want to know about the job characteristics, the sheer number of hours that we know people work, the children in their class, how many of them are also speaking the language that you grew up speaking, wages and benefits. We understand that wages may have come up a bit, but nationally, they haven't come up as much as fast food wages. So we want to know those kind of facts to be able to make sure policymakers understand. Program characteristics, as I talked about, and policy changes, right? So there's a lot packed in there. And if you've taken a survey of ours from before, you know that we have a lot of questions to ask you, but I promise you we did our best to really cut down the number of questions and only ask what we thought was most essential for this advocacy work. And then last, before I hand it over to Wanzi, we are trying to reach 6 different groups of people this time, which is more than we have ever done before. Wish us luck, and we hope to reach more in the future. Of course, we'll start with our FCC owner-operators. We have a goal of also reaching assistants in a future round. Within centers, we have a survey for the directors as well as the teaching staff. Within TK, we're surveying teachers and paraprofessionals. Paraprofessionals, this is new, the first time we're trying to reach this group. And the survey is online. You can take it on your phone if you receive a link that way. And it is actually available in 4 languages. The County of San Diego worked with us to create an Arabic language version of the survey. So if you have friends in the field who speak Arabic, they'll be able to take the survey in their language as well. We have started to go live just in the last couple of weeks, and by the end of this week, we will be fully implemented in sending out all of the invitations to everyone where we have the contact information. So it's quite possible that if you're an early educator, if you don't see something from us, it may be that we weren't able to get your contact or that it got into your spam. We'll talk about that in a moment. But just to conclude, to say that everyone who participates receives a gift card, $25 for teachers and assistants, and $30 for program leaders such as SCC providers and center directors. And I'm going to now pass it to Wanzi.
Unmute myself. I hope everybody can hear me. Okay. Sampling for center teachers and TK teacher staff. I will touch on this a little bit more when we go in, but the point of this slide is that we really need to get to be able to get to teaching staff. We need to go through the sites. This is the same for center teachers as well as TK teachers. We need to go through the principles. And we are aiming to get a representative sample of FCC providers and center directors. This will allow us to really have like sound data that can carry us through for the next 4 or so years. Simply because I think if you remember from 2020, some of you saw those beautiful profiles. Those were based on robust data. We were able to reach over 7,000 educators. So that is what we are targeting at. And then we usually try to follow through with that same group for the next 4 years. That is why this round is really, really critical that we get to as many people as we can. I will skip over some of the technical stuff because I want us to get to the interesting bit, which is the outreach. This slide basically says that, as Anna said, we have this 5-year plan. We have the research questions for this baseline, but we still haven't developed the survey plans for the next, from year 2 to year 5. We are open to ideas from you. If you have burning questions that you think you guys should really investigate this issue, it is important to us as educators. You are very welcome to email us. We are very happy to sit with you, have a conversation whenever you have time. So this is open. This is a collaborative process. Even when we did this survey, we were reaching out to other people that we could speak to learn what is really important to the ECE sector, especially to educators. Okay, so I'm going to move us into, so how are we really how are we reaching the people that we need to survey? That is the whole point of the next set of slides. So how are we reaching center directors? I'm starting with center directors simply because center directors open us to two groups for our study. Center directors themselves, because they are educators, but they also provide us essential program level information. But center directors also allow us to reach teachers. Because we don't have really contact information for teachers, we are asking center directors to help us survey the teachers at their centers. So our primary go-to way of reaching center directors, our preferred approach is if you have an email. So we first look and say, do we have your email as a center director? If you have your email, we are going to create a unique link for you, and then we'll email you the survey with that unique link. The beauty of the unique link is that you are able to start, it will save your progress. So you can stop and then come back and continue from where you stopped. So this is our most preferred way. And then it is also easier for us to communicate back and forth by email, simply because you can email me and then I can email back, and then we continue like that. If we don't have your email though, because we don't have emails for everybody, unfortunately, then we say for most centers, we do have their physical addresses. And then we are using the physical address to email you a postcard. And the postcard has instructions for how you can use it in order to be able to complete the survey. I will talk about the postcard a little bit. If we don't have the physical address for the center, then we go to our least preferred method, which is we look for the center phone number. Most center phone numbers are just landlines. And it means we can't really text you. We can't leave a message on your phone. Most of the time we have to call and talk to somebody. So we might call and then we phone you in order to ask for your email address. And then when you give us your email address, we kind of go back to the green box and then we send you the survey link. So this is how we are trying to reach center directors. I will say a little bit about the postcard. So the postcard is the front face of it looks like what I'm showing here. It has information about the study, as well as how you can, the gift card information is there, as well as the link to our project website, the CAECE The front is in both English and Spanish. Unfortunately, we wish we could provide more languages, but there's only so much real estate on the postcard. And then the back side, this is where you get information for how you can actually take take the survey. So the back side has two important features. It has the QR code. You scan this QR code. If you are, it will allow you to complete the survey on your mobile phone. So you'll see the QR code. If you scan it, it will automatically take you to the survey. It is almost like the link that we sent. And the second feature of the back of the postcard is that code. So it will really look like this. It will be a series of numbers, maybe with a dash, one dash something, or it could be a letter dash something. Once you scan the QR code and you get to the survey, you need to enter that ID code, because that is the code that will allow us to link who you are. To link it is specific to your center. This is how we are going to be able to know which center has now participated in the survey. Now we know that not everybody wants to complete their survey on their mobile phone. The second option you have is to email me. And when you email me, I will send you a survey link. But you also need to use that ID code. So don't throw away your postcard. Keep it, enter your ID code. Like when you get the link from me, you click on your link, it takes you to the survey, enter the ID code, and then you can complete your survey. So these postcards, we just mailed out the first batch. And we are rolling them out as we screen through our list to see what kind of contact information do we have for you. So, I mean, to mail things, it might take 7 days to get to you. And then by the time you get it, please don't throw it away. It has orange and blue. It is really beautiful. We hope you can keep it. And even if you say, I will do it tomorrow, take a magnet, put it on your fridge, and then come back to it. Okay, I will refer back to this postcard when I talk about family childcare providers as well, because the approach is exactly the same. So anyway, so this information is exactly what I've already said. Pay attention to the QR code and then to the ID code. And then if you don't want to complete it on your phone, send me an email and then I will send you your link and then you use your ID code to complete the survey. So how will we reach center teachers and assistants? Because we want to survey both center teachers and assistants. And I am stressing this to directors that if you get a link, make sure that your assistants also get the survey. We know that we do tend to get higher numbers of teachers sometimes, but center assistants, they are just as equally important for this survey. So how do we get to them? There are two options. The survey asks the director to paste their staff list. When you complete the survey as a director, there's a question that says, can you provide us your staff list? You can just paste it there. We will be able to get the email addresses you give us, and then we send the teachers and assistants their own individualized survey links. That's one option. Some directors don't want to, if they are not able to provide us with the staff list, because you can still complete the survey, what we will do is we will create a site-specific link that we will then email to the directors, and we are asking directors to forward that link to their staff. This is really, really helpful because for us to be able to reach as many teachers as we can and assistants as we can, we need to get the survey link in front of them. So the directors are our really important partner in terms of being able to communicate and reach the center teachers. So those are the two options for center teachers. They are multi-site agencies. I know that we had an earlier session where we had a lot of people that were probably from county offices of education, LEAs, and local agencies. And if you are on our call right now, I would like to stress that if you know agencies, for example, Head Start, those who run state preschools that run multiple sites, we need to be able to collect information at the site level. So we are asking that, please, if you know them, if you are one of them, we are sending out emails that are asking for contact information for site leaders. This could be a director, this could be a deputy director, this could be a site supervisor, this could be maybe a lead teacher, but who has supervisory responsibilities at the site. And the reason is because these are people that we want to ask those program level persons that help us understand how the programs are functioning. So we have this situation where we know that some agencies have like 50 sites. So it will really be a loss if we are not able to get to some of them. So we are encouraging agencies that have multiple sites, people that might have connections with the agencies, to please encourage them to open our email. We have had some responses and we are still looking for that. And we hope by the time by the time end of this month, hopefully we will have a good enough response, but it's out there. And we'll share some of the resources you can share with these agencies so that they can understand what the study is about, the resources that will drop in the chat towards the end. You can share with them. And then one director, multiple sites. Well, all I'm gonna say here is that if you're a director and you run maybe 4 or 5 sites, pick one site and complete the survey for that one site. If we really need to survey all those other sites, we will then send you separate links for each one of your sites for you to complete. But for now, we want you to prioritize completing the survey for one of your sites. And then we will give incentives for each completed survey per site. And then I come to family childcare providers. How would we reach them? I think you can see it's very similar to standard directors. We look for, do we have your email or cell phone number? We have noticed that family childcare providers, they do respond to the short SMS messages sometimes and are able to complete the survey on your phone. We have been really working hard to make the survey mobile friendly so that you can quickly, maybe everybody is napping or you are doing grocery shopping and you are standing in line waiting for the other people to go through. Maybe you can answer 5 questions because this would be a unique link. So if we have your email address or your cell phone number, we can send you an SMS that has the survey link. It is usually like a very short message that indicates it's coming from CSCCE, and it has a very short link that you can click and it takes you to the survey. If it's an email, it's the usual. I think you are familiar with the emails that come to you with our survey link. If we don't have your email or cell phone number, then we go to the physical address. And then we will post that very same postcard that I shared before with the QR code and the specific ID number to you. You scan the code, you enter your ID number, and then you start your survey. Again, if you want, you can email me and then I will send you the link. If we don't have any of that, well, we will look for phone numbers, but we know that for family, unlike centers, because centers, their phone numbers are there, out there, they are landlines. Family childcare providers, if we don't have your cell phone number or if you don't have your email, and if we don't have your physical address, it's really, really difficult for us to get to you. So I encourage you to contact us. We will try to phone if we can find a phone number that is not a cell, so that at least we can get the survey to you. Your information is really, really important because this is the data that is being used to help support the negotiations, like Anna said. So it is really important that we get the data and we are able to analyze it, and then we provide it to those who need to make the decisions. TK teachers are also part of this survey. Not only TK teachers, but the paraprofessionals as well as the aides that are in their classroom. So we have different ways of getting to TK teachers because we really don't have contact information for TK teachers at all. So you might be able to get a link that is forwarded by your principal or superintendent. We have been asking the California Department of Education to send the survey link for us as well. We are also relying on the other organizations like the California Kindergarten Association, California Federation of Teachers Representatives, California Teachers Association. So if you see links that are coming through, these are trusted channels. The TK survey is the link is an open link. So TK teachers can share their survey with each other and with their paraprofessional as well. So when you complete the survey, share it with others. We are really limiting the channels through which we send our links to limit the bots and the other creatures on the internet that try to take the survey without our permission. If you're a TK teacher or a paraprofessional or an aide and you haven't gotten any email forwarded to you, you are very welcome to email me or email Anna, and we will send you a link. If you can't find your survey link, especially directors, family childcare providers, whom we tend to email directly, just do a search in your email, search for CSCCE, search for ECE Workforce Study, or just search for my email address. Usually I am in there somewhere. If you find me, email me, or if you can find me, usually you can find your link, because that email will contain the link. If you have any issues, always email us. Sometimes check your spam box, your junk mail folder. Sometimes those emails, especially coming from Qualtrics, might be misidentified and placed in a junk folder. And then I'm going to come now to the resources, and I will try to copy them and paste them in the chat. But I want to refer you to two important resources. We have a project. I think some of you are familiar with the CSCCE website. We tend to use that especially for the products. We post when we write our reports, when we write our profiles, when we do our analysis and we produce our reports, we tend to post them on the center website. This website that I'm sharing right now, the California Early Care and Education Workforce Study, this is our project study. This is where we share information about what is this research about. We also have some links to some of the resources you might be able to read from, like, let me see if I can actually grab the website right now. So I encourage you, when you have time, to visit that website. And if you see things that are coming from us that have that link, it means it's authentic. It really is us. You might be familiar with our usual website logo, but this is our project website. I've just dropped the link in the chat there. The other thing that we did is, I know that we probably have a lot of providers right now, but we created a toolkit that we are sharing with partners so that they can share with educators that has information about what is going on, like when are we releasing when are we releasing the survey links. Originally, we created this when we first launched, because we have been phasing in our launch, but now we are gonna be fully out there. So I'm just gonna drop it. You can look at it if you want. If you are curious and you want more information, there we go. That's the toolkit we have for our partners. The other thing I'm gonna share with you is our really, really cool flyer that we created. The flyer, again, is very similar to the information that you can find on the project website. It tells you about the project, how we are trying to reach you, what you should do to participate. So these are all resources that contain, like, important information about this project. It is a project that we are conducting. I mean, it's work that we are doing to fill the data gap, because I think you have heard of the data deficit. Sometimes decision makers don't make decisions because they will say, but we don't have data, we don't have the information. And we are saying, we are going to try and fill that gap as much as we can. So this is what this survey is about. It is to provide data that educators tell us we need to have this information for us to advocate for ourselves, to be able to let the decision makers know what it is that we need and what are the things that we are doing really, really well, because we know that educators bring lots of strengths. I know I've talked a lot, me and Anna have talked a lot, but we still have time for question and answers. If you have any questions, I think, yeah, we have gotten to the end of our presentation on the processes that we're using to get to you. Any questions? Feel free. I think you might be able to unmute yourself.
Yeah. And if not, go ahead and write in the Q&A or the chat. And one thing I wanted to tell you guys about the contact information we have is that we were able to get a fair number of emails and phone numbers and addresses from the community care licensing, because of course they need to know where all the programs are. But as you may know, small FCC providers' information is very protected. And we have been working for months and months and months to try to have a data sharing agreement because we know how important it is to include small FCC providers. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to get the agreement yet. And so that means we're going to have to come back to our small FCC providers later, hopefully in the summer or the fall. But we are able to reach a few through some local county partnerships that are working with us. But on the whole, it could be that if you're a small FCC educator, you might not get an email from us. But that's okay. Don't wait. If you're ready to take this survey now, just contact us and we'll provide you with a link. We swear we are not trying to leave you out. We just want to be able to respect the data sharing process since that information is private. So any last questions? If not, then we can kind of wrap up. Thank you for those of you who put your email in the chat. We'll make sure to check about sending you your link if you haven't received it yet.
That's correct. Thank you, Anna. Yes, I can see some emails. And then also, depending on who you are, you could be a family childcare provider and you have a group of other family childcare providers. We are here. If you come to us and you say, can we have like a 10, 15 minute, 20-minute Zoom session with you? We don't even need to make it a session with Zoom webinar. We can just make it a Zoom meeting where you have questions for us. We are happy to answer your questions. You want us to have like a, an informal chat and, office hours. It's not really office hours, but office hours.